Well, good evening, everybody. It's Thomas Delonge here, coming to you live from the backyard of my house. It's about midnight right now, and I can see every star possible. It's amazing. Where I live, there's no street lights allowed. So, like in a 40 square mile, maybe 30, maybe 20, I don't know. It's big though, like a whole area where there's lots of houses on quite a bit of land. Every house is like spread out in a few acres. There's no street lights, so when you're out here, you could see a lot of stars. And I know there's people out here in America that probably live in a place where there's lots of land too, but in San Diego, Southern California, land is hard to come by. So, but the point is that the moon is about half right now, but it's very bright. It's lighting up like this whole canyon, and but I can still see all the stars above it. And if you just lay here, you can see all those satellites passing by, like the just little tiny pricks of light that flow by. I don't know. I can't tell you that there's anything else on this earth that I like more than this. When tour gets done, the first thing I do when I come home, because my hours are fucked up, because I don't usually go to bed till like really late on tour. Like I'll go to sleep at 4 or 5 in the morning, and even then I gotta push myself to go to sleep sometimes. But when I go to sleep that late, I come home and then like everyone's asleep, by 10 or something, and then like I'm still totally up, so I'll come outside and I'll hang out here for hours. And sometimes I just look at the stars, other times I think about music, sometimes I just think about the world itself. But more than you would ever know, I think about what I can do to get an alien spacecraft to land right in front of me. I lay here and I go, okay, maybe if I think really hard about it, maybe if I try and blur my vision and look, you know what I was thinking, like what if those posters you look at, the ones with those designs on it where you have to focus on the picture, you change the way you're kind of focusing your eyes and you can see a hidden image. I wonder if the world is like that, and that's what allows you to see other types of things, I don't know. Because apparently there's all these extra dimensions, and no one's really telling me how to see them or how to experience them. So when I want to see a UFO land, I just sit here and I blur my fucking eyes and I ask politely. And guess what? I've never seen a fucking UFO once. It's alright. Other people have, and other people see them a lot. So I'll just read about their fucking awesome experiences. Except the Travis Walton case, which is very popularly known because they had a movie about it, Fire in the Sky. And they were gone for like 4 or 5 days, a couple of them. It's gnarly. But watch that movie and you'll think it's scary. But, so I don't know. In front of my house, though, depending on the rotation of us and the stars, you see the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, Orion. My favorite one's Orion because the pyramids of Giza map up exactly with Orion's belt. 2 big pyramids and a small pyramid that's kind of off axis. That's Orion's belt as well. 2 big stars and a small star that's off axis. So they built those pyramids to mimic the belt of Orion. But the belt of Orion only maps up directly overhead of the pyramids every 3,600 years. So the big story is, if you read these tablets from Sumer, and I've talked about this before, but I'll re-educate you guys. Sumer was the first civilization that we know of that was somewhat advanced. They had economics, they had astronomy, they had mathematics. The large part of their civilization is chiseled out of these like clay tablets, and there's like 200,000 of these tablets. And not all of them have been transcribed, but the ones that have speak of a story where every 3,600 years, the belt of Orion maps up with the pyramids of Giza, and that shows when this planet called Heaven is coming back. because supposedly this planet that they called heaven is in our solar system, but it has a 3,600-year orbit, so we don't even know it's there most of the time. And when it comes back, the visitors from that planet come here, and they said those who from heaven to earth came, like the biblical story, and they called them gods, and the returning of God and all this crazy stuff. But I don't know. It's really interesting stuff. I'm not making this up either. This is work from a famous man named Zecharia Sitchin, and he's a very highly recognized Palestinian scholar that is one of the few people on earth that can read these Sumerian texts. So, I don't know. It's a really interesting story. At Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is not an independent research laboratory, it's actually part of the government. It's basically, think of it as NASA. They build rockets and stuff, and anti-gravity research and all this stuff. They're very, very important. They're the people that built basically the Apollo rockets and like the Manhattan Project and whatever. That's how come people have heard of the JPL. So scientists from Jet Propulsion Laboratory actually said they think they found another planet, and they labeled it Planet X, and it was a big black spot out in space, which is funny because all of space is black, but they saw this big dark shadow spot, and they said it was moving closer. It came out a few years ago on CNN, and then it just disappeared. No one ever talked about it. But it is a big conspiracy, so if you want to, you can go in and read about Planet X on the internet. But, what am I talking about, really, is the question. I just took a breath, and I realized I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not totally sober right now, to be honest, and my primary reason for being honest is because I don't want to lie to you guys. I want you to know that I respect you guys laying in bed right now in your pajamas. I respect the fact that where you are, it's probably not as nice as this in San Diego, because right now I'm not really getting eaten away by bugs like you are in most of the United States when it's hot. Or it might be too cold out there, or it's raining, because San Diego, for those of you who don't know, is the only climate on the entire earth where it rains in the winter and not in the summer. So we don't really get rain in the summer, which everywhere else you do. When it gets really hot and humid and weird, you get these like tropical rainstorms, whatever you want to call them. They're not tropical in the Northeast, but that still happens. And but San Diego doesn't. San Diego, it rains in the winter time. So I know it rains in the winter where you are, but I'm just saying, like, as a field of study, it's called the field of weather science, climatology. I know nothing about it, actually, but that's what I was always told. I'm going to teach you guys something about electrons. Okay, this is going to be good. An electron orbits the nucleus of an atom. Multiple atoms make up a molecule, and multiple molecules make up basically anything, everything. So when you go down to the atom, it's interesting because you generally, you'll have, for the most part, the same amount of neutrons and protons in the nucleus. So if you have 10 neutrons, you're going to have 10 protons. But the amount of electrons, I'm just saying it like that, the amount of electrons that orbit the nucleus of the atom is what determines its weight. And I think there's usually, I don't even know how that works. I'm not even gonna guess on that part. But the difference of the electrons orbiting the nucleus is what changes